going to try something a little bit different with this video. I'm making video 3, and I haven't started writing any code yet. I've decided what I want to do and the problem I want to solve, but I thought I would try to write the code as I did some recording. So what I want to do is come up with some code to keep track of a patient database. And this is going to be a very simple kind of database. It's going to store a patient name, a patient ID number, and insurance company, and a list of allergies. I want to store all of this information in a list. So I'm going to start off just by creating a data structure, patient list, and I'm going to start off with that being empty. And there's some things that I'm going to want to be able to do. I'm going to want to be able to get a patient list, and that's going to come in from a file. And it's a cool little command for Python. If you're not sure exactly how you want to code something, or if you want to wait on the coding, you can just type in pass. I am going to want to save the patient list, and when I do that, I'm going to need the patient list, and I'm going to need a file name. So right now I'm just thinking about what kinds of information am I going to need, and what sort of things am I going to want to be able to do. To get the patient list, I just need a file name. And to save patient list, I'm going to need the list to save and the file name. I might want to print patients. To do that, we'll need the patient list. Forgot to say pass. And I'm going to want to input a patient. And when I do that, I'm going to add that patient to the patient list. And again, we'll put a pass on that. I'm going to need a file name. And I've already created a text file, patients.txt. Okay, now I'm going to have to enforce a certain structure to this patient list. Each entry in this patient list is going to be a patient, and that patient is going to have, as I said before, so patient name. Maybe we'll do it last name. We don't need to type all that out. So here's the structure. Last name, first name, ID number. We're just going to make that up. So let's call it social security number. Everybody's got their own unique social security number. And it's always nice when you're making up lists like this to have a unique identifier. And last name, first name doesn't do it. I've got the same name as my dad, so that's definitely not it. But our social security numbers are unique identifiers. So what did I say? Last name, first name, social security number, insurance company, and then we're going to have allergies. And that's going to have to be another list in itself, because you can have more than one allergy. So we're going to have a list of lists. We're going to have a patient list. It's going to be a list of all our patients. And each patient is going to be its own list of information. And inside that, there's going to be another list of allergies. So I'm typing this out to give myself an idea of what I want. And it's important to do that in get patient, because when I read this in and write this out and get patient and save patient, this is where I'm going to be enforcing this format. So get patient, we're going to do, well, let's see, we're going to do with open. So we're going to open up the file. We are reading in patient, so we're going to open this in read mode. And we're going to enforce the encoding. And we're just going to call this F to keep it simple. And then we're going to step through that file so we can do a for loop for this. So for patient in F. So this is going to read in each patient line by line. And so I'm starting to think about the structure of the file patients.txt. So each line in patients.txt is going to be a new patient. So here's one patient, and we're going to want to split this. We're also going to want to do some stripping. And let's see. I see I've got an issue. I want to make up a patient list. So I'm reading this in. So assuming the get patient list is going to be run every time the program is booted up. And so initially you read in the patient list, and then you can add stuff to it, make modifications, and then you're going to save it at the end. So right now there's no patient list whatsoever. So I'm going to have to make up, and I'm going to call it list of patients this time instead of patient list, because PyCharm will yell at me if I use the same variable name twice. And I get sick of getting yelled at. Okay, so I want to now read in a line, and so I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the list of patients, and I'm going to add to that, so we're going to append, and I want to append the thing we've just read in, patient. But I got to remember that when I read something in, that's going to come in with some end of line characters. And then I want to strip that. Not strip it. Split it. I've already stripped it. So when I split it, that's going to make this into a list. So it's going to be written out as a string, and then split will read that in and make it into a list. And then, so this is one long line, but patient.strip is going to read in a single patient from a line, take off the end of line characters, split that, and append it to the list of patients. So I'm going to have to make sure that when I write this out, I have this format up here. And then get patient is going to return that list. And down here, when I save patients, I have the patient list now. And as a list, that's iterable, so I can do for patient in patient list. So I want to save this to the file. Whoops, and I got to be careful because I need to open that file for writing, don't I? So basically, I want to copy this line up here so that I can write to the file. And then we are going to write out to F Okay, so we want the patient last name. It's at index 0. And then we're going to make this a comma separated list. So up here, when I say split, I want to split this on commas. And then I'm going to put a comma in between that and the first name. And then another comma. And we will put in the Social Security number. And another comma. The insurance company. And finally, finally, we'll put in a list of allergies. And we're going to need a new line here, so I'm just going to take this down here. And save patient is going to be a procedure. It's not going to return anything. So I think I've done it there. So I've opened up the file F, and I'm going to loop through the patient list. And for each patient in that list, I'm going to write this information out to the file as a comma separated string. Oh, I better put a new line on the end of it. So I'll put a new line. Being in Windows, that'll work just fine. Let's see, print patients. Again, this is going to be a list of lists. I can do for patient and patient list. And we're going to want to print. Let's see. Let's do this first name. So that's going to be patient. And first name is in the second index. And then these are all strings, so we can concatenate them together using the plus sign. All right, so this will give us Jim Bob. And just to show how clever I am, I'll say whose social security number is. Really, this is just testing to make sure that my program is actually doing what I want it to. So social security number is at 01, it's index 2. And then we'll print out there has insurance company, has insurance company, and well, on the next line. So let's see, insurance company 0123. I mean, it should be 3. It's the next thing, right? Well, let's see now. I think I have a little problem, because if I want to print out their allergies are actually in a list. So let's do this. I'm going to make a string here. I'm just going to call this S. And then we're going to say for allergy in patient sub 4. So the allergies is a list. Lists are iterable, so we can do a for loop over all those allergies. And we're just going to add to S. Oh, let's see. So up here, I'm going to put has allergies, and then this is going to go through all the allergies in their list and append them onto the end of S. The only thing that I'm doing that I should really check on is if this list is empty, then this is still going to have has allergies, and this will be blank. What I could do is we could check to see if they don't have any allergies. So let's do that. If the length of the patient's allergy list is positive, then we're going to do this. And else, no, else goes with the if. Oh, I've screwed something up. Egads. It's not liking my indentation. And if there are no allergies in the list, and we're not going to have any allergies. Oh, I've got red marks going on over here. Statement seems to have no effect. Well, that's my favorite one. Unexpected indent. I don't like that. I think it's arguing about this. There. And then down here, we are just going to print that string S. Okay, and print patience is a procedure, so we are done with that. We could make this into a function by taking all these strings S and putting them all together and returning that big string, and that might be a good idea, but oh, it doesn't like my indentation still. Let's see. Oh, the problem is here. It thinks I indented. I didn't. Okay. Now we're good. Okay, input a patient. Okay, so let's see. We're going to, well, there's a short way to do this and a long way. And I'm going to do it the short way. So patient list, we're going to append the new patient. And I'm not going to do any error checking in this. If you screw up the name, you screwed up the name. That's going to be your problem. So, let's see. We want to input. Well, actually, we want to append a list. So we're going to make up the list that is the patient record. And we're going to input last name. And then, oh, you know what? I'm not going to get away with this, am I? I am not going to get away with this. Because I just remember they can input allergies, and that allergies that they input is going to have to actually go into a while loop. So we're going to be a little more clever. Oh, that's what it's yapping about. I didn't put a colon on the end of my if statement. Okay, let's try this again. So last equals input. And first equals input. Now I'm going to check my formatting up here. So last first social security number. Which you should never give out, but for this program you are. Insurance company. And then so the thing I want to do next is we want to get the patient's allergies. And we don't know how many there are going to be, so this is going to end up being a while loop. So we're going to do choice equals, and we're going to default to yes. Actually, we're not. We're going to choice equals input. Does the patient have allergies? And it might be nice to tell the user what they should type in. So we'll do yes or no. And then we're going to do a while loop. While choice equals yes. Whoops. Well, choice.upper. So we will allow them to type in a lowercase y. And then we will input the allergy. Now we want to build up an allergy list here. So we're going to start off with an empty list. And now allergies is a list, so we can append to the list. And we're going to append. And we're just going to append allergy. And then we're going to ask if they have more allergies to put in. And then when we're done, we're going to return the patient list, which is going to be, you have to be consistent with this when you're reading and writing these things out. This is how the list gets the right format. You enforce that format anytime you're putting in a new patient or saving to the file or reading in from the file. You have to enforce that. So it's going to be last name, first name, social, insurance, and then the list of allergies is allergies. And now, instead of saying patient list is empty, we can say get patient list. Whoops. And we'll pass a file name. So the patient list will be initialized to file name. The first time I run this program, patients.txt is going to be empty. So this is going to be an empty list. And then we're going to set up another while loop, and we're just going to allow the user to type in patients. And I want .upper. And we're going to append You know, I passed patient list to input patient, and then I never used it. I actually ended up just returning the patient as a list, and I think that's the way to do it. So I actually don't need to pass patient list to this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a patient to the patient list, and the way you add something to a list is you append it. And what am I going to append? I'm going to input a patient. And input patient, if you spell it correctly, returns a patient, which we can then just append to the list. And then we're going to ask, do you need to input another patient? And then when we end, we will print patients. Oop. How am I getting the red dots of... Oh! Red dot of death. No colon on the end of my statement. Alright, so in theory, here's what's going to happen. We're going to run this the first time. We're going to get patient list from file name. And that should just be an empty list. Patient. And I'm just going to print patient list. I have a procedure to print out the patients that prints them out in kind of a fancy way. This is just going to print it out as a list, and I should just get an empty list here. And then we're going to input patient, and we're going to do the print patients. We could also just do a print. Well, let's do it inside of here. We'll do a print patient list just to show you what happens while this is running. Okay, so completely untested code, but we do have a green bar, and we have a bunch of shadowed names. Yeah, quit your yapping. PyCharm. Let's run it. See what happens. So we're going to run patients. Okay, so here's our empty list. That's patient list. We've read in, and there's nothing in the file, so input another patient. Wait a minute. Why is it doing that? Input another patient here. What happened to input? Oh. Input patient is a function or a procedure.